You want to go to the next slide? So just to start off, I want to go over what diabetes really is. I know there's a lot of misconceptions and kind of a lack of awareness, which you guys help raise awareness for a ton. I'm very grateful for that. So there are 3 types of diabetes: type 1, type 2, and gestational. Type 1 is obviously the one we focus on. That's when the pancreas and the islet cells can no longer produce insulin, so you have to inject it man-made either through a pump, through a syringe, or through a pen, all of which include needles, not my favorite thing. Type 2 is more based on genetics, lifestyle, diet, different factors like that. And then gestational happens during pregnancy when the baby is born. It goes away. There's not a lot of knowledge in that. And then, so how to manage diabetes? So I have to check my blood sugar about 8 to 10 times a day by putting a little needle in my finger and then getting a blood drop onto a test strip, which then gives me back the data on what my blood sugar is. Then I have to figure out if I need more sugar, if I need insulin, if I need to eat, things like that. So going through that 15 times a day can be a little overwhelming at times, but it is manageable. I currently use an insulin pump, which is a lot easier. I only have to give myself a shot once every 3 days, so that's a perk. And I also use a Dexcom CGM, which is just a little sensor that stays in my arm for about a week, 2 weeks, and that actually can check your blood sugar. And JDRF just announced that we're close to releasing the bionic pancreas, which is a combination of the insulin pump I have and the CGM, and it will completely on its own be able to either administer sugar or insulin based on what the Dexcom's reading is. So that takes mounds of pressure off of me, which would be really awesome. So then to get into my diagnosis a little bit, so I was a sophomore in high school. And I was supposed to be, it was on a Friday, March 8th. I know all the dates about this. And I was supposed to be in a play at Stadium Theater in Rhode Island. And I woke up and I was very feverish, very sick, couldn't get out of bed. And then after that day, for the next 2 months or so, same thing. I was getting earaches, headaches, wasn't sleeping very much. I was drinking water by the gallons. So we kind of knew something was up. I kept going to my doctor, and finally I was there 9 times in a month, I think, and my doctor was like, you can't keep hanging out here, like, you gotta figure it out. So then we did some blood work, and my blood sugar came back well over the 300s, which the normal range is 80 to 150. So I was then brought into Children's Hospital for the next 5 days, where I had to learn how to live an entirely different lifestyle in those 5 days. It was very overwhelming at first. I'm very grateful for my family. My mom's here today. They stood by my side the whole time. We made jokes about it. We redecorated the hospital room, even though I was only there for 5 days. So their support definitely helped. And then moving on to right after my diagnosis, I was scheduled to dance in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade 6 months after, which 6 months may seem like a long time, but when you were as petrified of needles as I was and you had to learn how to give yourself shots, 6 months was not very fast at all. So not even that, 20 days after, I had to go to prom, and I would not give myself any shots by myself. And finally, my doctor said, you're either gonna give yourself an insulin shot right now, or your mom is gonna go sit with you and your prom date at the table and wait for you. So I don't think I've ever grabbed a needle faster than I did after that. So that was kind of a big step, becoming more independent. Again, 6 months later in the Macy's Day Parade, I was drinking juice boxes and eating gummies as I was marching through New York, so that was quite an event, but I really challenged myself to not ever let it get in the way. I had contemplated for a long time about not dancing in it, about skipping prom, about not doing all these things because I needed more time. And then I had like the realization, like, how much time do I need? You know, if it's gonna be here forever, I might as well do cool things, you know, get to go to prom as a sophomore, get to be in New York for a week and a half dancing. So that was kind of my motivation to start getting involved. And then I decided to really get involved with the diabetes community. So once I was a freshman in college, I heard about the College Diabetes Network, which is a whole network for kids to start chapters up, and they can, reach out to people that are affected by it, that live with it, friends, family, supporters. And I believe there are over 150 chapters across the US, and there wasn't one on my campus, so I was like, let's start one. So I did that, and I'm currently working with PC a lot to get events up and running, so that's really a fun time. It's really great. I know there's only like 5 or 6 type 1s on my campus, but it means the world to them. I've written several articles. I don't know if you guys are as big of fans of Nick Jonas as I am, but he owns a website about type 1, and they actually published an article I wrote about being in the Macy's Day Parade, and I repost it every year right around Thanksgiving when that comes up. I've also written multiple blogs for the College Diabetes Network. I have one coming out this week. I was able to tour an insulin manufacturing company, which was really special. I also was an intern for the American Diabetes Association, so I really worked on putting on events for kids with type 1, for teenagers with it, for elderly people, people with cultural language barriers, things like that, just so everyone feels like they really have a place, they really have a home, they don't feel like it can be a setback in any way. This past winter break, I wrote 2 books about it. One for children, one just in general for people being diagnosed with type 1. So hopefully those will be out sooner. And I also recently started a blog called Courtney Rose Media about how to live an exciting, adventurous life, about how to dress and how to use your insulin pump as an accessory, not a setback. So those are some big things coming. And then for JDRF is one of the most special organizations to me. They were kind of the first ones when I was diagnosed that had care packages ready, had teddy bears, all these books about what I need to know, what I can do, had lists of people that were doing unbelievable things with diabetes, which was really inspiring. And I actually first started with them. I volunteered at different walks. I worked with the Rhode Island chapter and the one in Massachusetts. I'm now a spokeswoman for them, which is really cool and really special. But they're just a really overall one of the really powerful organizations. There's a bunch of facts listed up on the screen. I think they raised at least $7 million annually, way more than that. And the stuff that this money is going to is absolutely incredible. We right now, I believe, are on the brink of 5 cures. They have the bionic pancreas coming out. There's stem cell research. There's pancreatic transplants. They've cured it in mice in 3 different ways. So the things you guys are doing by raising awareness, by raising money, I believe an article came out the other day saying within the next 5 years, there's gonna be a cure. And those, when I was first diagnosed, are words people would say to me, and I would roll my eyes and be like, stop, there's not gonna be a cure. Let me throw my little pity party and be sad about it, but we're really on the brink of it. And I know JDRF has funded countless scientists, worked with different medical providers. They not only provide the support for people like me that have to live with it every day, but they provide the researchers, the medical staff with the equipment that they'll need and with the information and resources they'll need. They do focus groups, all these things, so that for people like me, life should hopefully be a little bit easier soon. These are just some pictures of different things I've done. I had to do my senior year of high school an in-depth year-long research study on any topic that you wanted. So obviously a year into it, I was like, I'm gonna do diabetes. And I got to talk to all of my classmates about it, and they started asking questions. Well, how do you sleep overnight? How do you this? And it was actually a really cool bonding experience right before graduation. To just be able to sit down and talk to them and explain everything in depth and have them, have a new level of appreciation for people who live with it. And some friends just supporting me out at different walks and events I went to. And these are just advancements. On the right, that is the first insulin pump that weighed around 100 pounds. Today, this is my insulin pump that looks like a little mini iPod. So this has just happened in under 100 years. These advancements like these, again, the bionic pancreas, the Dexcom, so every day they're coming out with more and more things. So if we can even get this insulin pump even smaller than from when it started, then that's the hope. Thank you guys so much.